report of the Interparliamentary Union that was held in Angola, Luanda, Angola, from 23rd to 27th October 2023. Mr. Speaker, as you have correctly talked about, there is a very big role that parliaments all over the world play in terms of cooperation, coordination, and ensuring that the representatives of the people around the world come together and discuss issues that are relevant. Mr. Speaker, on this meeting that was held in Luanda, a lot of things were discussed, Mr. Speaker. A lot of things were discussed, but I would like to dwell on the issue that focused on global food security. Mr. Speaker, there are many challenges, and it was recognized by the parliaments that were seated in Luanda, Angola, that many parliaments in many parts of the world are affected by the problems of food insecurity. Mr. Speaker, there are lots of problems. The world is not being able to feed itself, and there are people who are living in areas that are frequently hit by climate-related disasters. And Mr. Speaker, during this meeting in Luanda, there was a focus on what was happening in the El Nino time, at that time, Mr. Speaker. And there was a relation in these discussions about droughts that had increased. And at that time, Mr. Speaker, they were talking also about the cycles of the droughts and the El Nino phenomena that was affecting food production and jeopardizing even stability of food supply across the world. Mr. Speaker, these parliaments also discussed the impact of COVID-19 pandemic, that so many people were not able to access their farms, so many people were not able to be engaged usefully so that they can produce food. And Mr. Speaker, apart from the climate issues, the question of the COVID pandemic was discussed. Mr. Speaker, other problems, including the increase on the prices of fertilizers, was also discussed. These challenges, Mr. Speaker, were put on those parliaments and discussed, so that Kenya also was part of those discussions, Mr. Speaker, that raised the challenges affecting food, including the increase on the prices of fertilizers. Mr. Speaker, the general conclusions of our members of parliament who went there, who participated in this conference, in this Interparliamentary Union meeting, was that there was need for them to come back home, and on this issue of global food security, there was need for them to come back home and communicate to their governments that fresh efforts need to be put so that, Mr. Speaker, an emphasis on food production, on stability of food supply within their own countries, so that each parliament, when they discuss there, they're supposed to come here, and then we also approve these reports, and these reports are taken to the relevant government departments to implement. So one of the important things that was discussed was the global food security. And Mr. Speaker, The resolution was that we need to come back home and tell our governments, and in this particular issue, is to talk about the strategies that the government of Kenya, like other governments, would take on new strategies that will ensure food security within their countries. Mr. Speaker, during those discussions in Angola, a total of 22 delegates took to the floor to share their experiences and insights concerning the concerning the pressing issues of ensuring a stable and sustainable food supply for the world's population. Mr. Speaker, concerns were given from the global north, from the global south, and all these delegates, Mr. Speaker, they were able to explain their experiences, Mr. Speaker. And I have given the general challenges that we had and were explained in these debates. Every delegate explained what was happening in their home countries, Mr. Speaker, and what they thought strategies that could help in terms of ensuring that food stability is achieved within the continent. Mr. Speaker, there are many strategies that were given. Some of them we are already employing, and we know our Department of Agriculture in this country is doing what it needs to do to ensure that we have food, enough food supply for this country. But one of the things that was discussed as a strategy and that needs to be emphasized here in Kenya is that we need, Mr. Speaker, to involve our youth in production that is agricultural production. Mr. Speaker, for a very long time, people used to think that it is unfashionable to go into agriculture. Our children, and even in our generation and the generation that